What if one of the best tools for helping a kid manage their big, messy emotions isn't some complex new therapy, but just a walk in the woods? Sounds simple, right? But a really fascinating new study suggests the connection between a child's behavior and their time in nature is way more powerful than we ever thought. So let's dig in.
Okay, so where does this all come from? Well, we're diving deep into a single, really powerful study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology. Researchers wanted to get to the bottom of this intricate dance between a child's behavior, their feelings, and the natural world around them.
And really, all this research boils down to one simple but kind of profound question. For a little kid, could a walk in the park actually be as important for their development as a lesson in the classroom? The findings from this study suggest the answer is a big, resounding yes.
To really get why this is such a big deal, we first have to talk about something that every parent, caregiver, and teacher on the planet knows all too well: helping young kids deal with their absolutely massive and often totally overwhelming emotions.
Now, there's a clinical term for this. It's called emotion regulation. And what's so important to understand is that this isn't about shutting feelings down. No way. It's a really complex skill of being able to spot what you're feeling, figure it out, and then adjust it in a way that's healthy and works in the real world. So, look, this isn't just about avoiding tantrums in the cereal aisle. Getting a handle on emotion regulation in these early years is, and I mean this, a cornerstone for a healthy life. It affects everything, from making friends to learning right from wrong. It's a foundational skill for just being a well-adjusted person.
And that brings us right back to the study. See, the scientists knew just how vital this skill is, so they wanted to look into a potential and maybe overlooked factor that could help kids develop it: their connection to nature.
They didn't just ask a vague question like, is nature good for kids? They got way more specific. They wanted to understand the exact mechanism. How do behavioral problems end up shaping a child's emotional skills through their connection, or maybe their lack of connection, to the natural world?
So here's the theory they came up with. Think of it like a chain reaction. Step 1, a child has behavioral problems. Step 2, this affects their connection to nature, which in turn, step 3, influences their ability to regulate their emotions. So the big question was, would the data actually back this up?
So, what did they find when they looked at the data from almost 300 preschool kids? Well, the evidence was frankly crystal clear. It pointed to a really powerful set of relationships.
Just look at the pattern here. You don't even need to be a statistician to see what's going on. Behavioral problems have a negative relationship with both a connection to nature and emotional skills. But the link between being connected to nature and having those skills, that's a big, strong positive.
Let's zoom in on that first number, -0.884. Now, I know it's just a number, but in the world of statistics, that is a very strong link. Put simply, it means the more behavioral problems a child showed, the weaker their connection to nature was. It's a clear, inverse relationship.
And then on the flip side, you get this number, a positive 0.831. This tells the exact opposite story. The stronger a child's connection to nature was, the better their emotion regulation skills were. The link is direct and it's powerful.
But honestly, the real aha moment of this research wasn't just that these things are all connected. It was how they're connected. The study confirmed that this connection to nature acts as a mediator.
Think about it like this. Imagine behavioral problems are like a really heavy backpack a kid has to carry around. Now, what the study found is that a connection to nature doesn't magically make that backpack disappear. But, and this is the whole key, it helps the child carry that load. It makes it feel lighter. This is what scientists call partial mediation.
The researchers themselves summed it up perfectly in their conclusion. They said a connection to nature can serve as a promising protective factor. I just love that phrase. It's a buffer, right? It's a support system that makes a real, measurable difference in a kid's life.
Okay, so this is all really fascinating for a scientific journal, but what does it actually mean for us in the real world? How do we take these findings from the lab and put them into practice in our homes and schools?
Well, the researchers offer some really clear, actionable ideas. And it's not about just one thing. It's about a total mindset shift. It means weaving nature into school lessons, exploring incredible models like forest schools, fighting to make sure kids in cities have access to green spaces, and, just encouraging more family hikes and trips to the park. The study also points a finger at a very modern challenge. The rise of screen time is in direct competition with green time.
And it's a pretty stark contrast. One can sometimes trigger behavioral issues, and it definitely reduces opportunities for kids to get outside, while the other provides a calming, balancing effect that actively supports the very skills they need to develop.
And that really just leaves us with a final, massive question to think about. The evidence is clear. A connection to nature isn't just a nice-to-have bonus for kids. It seems to be a fundamental part of healthy emotional development. So the real question is, how do we start treating it that way and make it a non-negotiable part of every single childhood?